piano studio, an Athena. Like you, I am a music educator. I love teaching classical piano. I teach jazz lead sheets, and group piano has been also on my radar for a couple of decades. I started teaching at the Mount Royal College College in Calgary. It's now known as the Mount Royal University. I've also taught at the Victoria Conservatory of Music in British Columbia, as well as my own private studio. And I love to perform on narrow keys. 25 years ago, I got to play the Rhapsody in Blue on a 5.5 narrow key. This is my grand piano. I'm married to a man who had a piano moving truck. Not too many people can say that. I played the Brahms Quintet with the Purcell String Quartet. Big, powerful chords. I hit them all. I cannot play that piece on narrow keys without massive changes. And with my Dragonfly sister, Sue Gould, we do 2 piano concerts every year. We've done this for, almost 10 years now. We will do 11 concerts in 5 days. A 50-minute concert, pack it up in the car, drive to the next community center, unpack, and we're talking Brahms, Ravel, these are big pieces. Up until 2 years ago, I was exhausted at the end of the week. My sister has large hands, and she was not exhausted. I got digital keys in my keyboard. This is just a grand piano shell like we have here, thanks to Keyhole piano shells. And at the end of the 11 concerts, I wanted to do another week. I had never felt so good. And I've been playing with her for decades, and she said, I've never heard you play like that. She heard the power and the confidence that happens when you play on narrow keys. Because I teach and perform and I have small hands, I have become a piano designer. I realized I need the right tool to enjoy my craft. With my partner Kathy Strouk, who is right here, another small-handed piano player, we have created Athena so those of you with small hands can have the same amazing piano experience that large-handed piano players have always had. Playing with comfort, control, unbelievable control, and power. And we'll talk more about that. Narrow keys have been available for almost 30 years in acoustic pianos. Because of their cost and how difficult they are to move, they have been a luxury. And narrow keys are a necessity. This is Athena on a stand that it screws into. It's an optional stand with triple pedals that work beautifully. And on your chair, you saw sheets like this. Pull them out right now if you might. Standard pianos have a 6.5-inch octave. Narrow keys have a 5.5-inch octave. And turn to the regular side, please, and play. Put your thumb, if you've never played narrow keys before, put your thumb on the octave. And I would like a raise of hands to say how many people can play a comfortable octave. So just put up your hand if you can play a comfortable octave. Lovely. I want you to now reach to a 10th. And put up your hand if you can reach a comfortable 10th. Oh, look at all those hands go up. One very shy person put his hand up. Thank you. Now, flip it over and try the same thing on narrow keys. Play an octave. Feel that. Close your eyes. Just feel that relaxed hand. And now play a 10th. And put up your hand if you can reach a 10th. Isn't that fantastic? That is the difference between playing all the repertoire and playing a small section of the advanced repertoire. It's the difference between having a concert career and not having a concert career. It's the difference between, excuse me, there we go. It is the difference between playing pain-free and playing with discomfort and risking injury. If you can reach a comfortable 10th on those regular keys, please drop by our booth and take the Goliath Goliath challenge, where those of you who can reach a 10th, we have upsized our plastic keys here as much as the Athena has been downsized. So there's regular, there's Athena, and there's our Goliath challenge. And it's very important. All day long today, I've been grabbing then who come by, so much fun, and saying, have you taken our Goliath challenge? No, what are you talking about? And they sit down, and I go, please reach an octave. They'll tell me that they can easily reach a 10th. And they go, an octave? Huh? And I said, now reach a 10th. Aha! And I said, this is what your piano students experience every day. It's to try to let them understand what we know to be. So Athena is the marriage of tradition and innovation. And you say, Linda, how hard is it to make a narrow key digital piano? Well, let me show you. So easy. I wish. Athena is a performance level digital piano designed with the features you expect for playing advanced repertoire. It was designed for the teaching studio and the stage. And performing on keys that fits your hands is beyond wonderful. Right, Carol? Whoops, didn't mean to do that again. If I had to take one word and summon up the experience between large hands that fit these pianos and small hands, that word would be arch. This arch is a shock absorber. It is what allows us to play powerful chords without pain. It allows us to play with more expression. And with Athena, you have this rich responsive sound because we have premium triple sensors, graded hammer action, and it's portable, which has been so important. More on that later. But doesn't one size fits all? I mean, Linda, get over yourself. We've been doing this for 300 years. What's your problem here? Well, I used to tell people I could play a ninth, but I was lying. When I play a ninth on regular keys, I have no arch. I have pain. I've experienced dramatic performance injury. I call the scar on my right hand my Prokofiev 7th scar. Won't get into that. And all my life I've been, Linda, play with more power. Well, I'm sorry, but when you have your hand stretched out like this and you come down hard, it hurts. I am going to demonstrate a little bit of Athena with two pieces here. I can find my hat. So I'm going to start with one piece that we are all very familiar with. Oh, of course, the Athena turns off, automatically turns off after 15 minutes. Another wonderful feature, but not right at the moment. You can see, so I just got the last line of Tromperai, and up there at the top is how it was written, how Robert Schumann would like us to play it. At the bottom was how I have to rework it when I play it on big keys. All right, we're coming through. And so, Tromperai. Right out of the gate, Robert Schumann asks me to play a 10th in the left hand. And I can easily revoice that on the big keys so that nobody would know the difference. So, a little cheat. I feel a little guilty, but I just keep going. And we all know how it goes. I'll jump to the end where you have what I call the climax of the piece. This chord, it's a 10th in the left hand, it's a 9th in the right hand. I have to bring out the A, I have to support it with the G, I need everything in between, I need a pianissimo, and I don't need it to be rolled because it's not quiet. This is a quiet, calm piece. And I can play it like Schumann asked me to play it. So that's just a little bit. One more piece I want to demonstrate at the moment, Land of Misty Giants, which I have to, excuse me, change my screen so you can see it as well. There we go. Written by Oscar Peterson. Have any of you heard of Oscar Peterson? My hero, fellow Canadian from Toronto. He wrote the Canadian Suite. He has gigantic hands. This is from RCM grade 10. Here's the Mist. Ninth. But it's not hard. Raindrops. And that's all introduction. And then he has this beautiful, he brings out the melody. He was classically trained. Big, big chord. And it's a beautiful piece. And on page 2, which is right over there on the screen, I have it in pink. He's got this lovely transition into the second section, and these chords. D flat 9, C13, G flat 9, going to F13, and resolving to an F6-9. And if you play those on big keys with little hands, you can't do the those are 29, there's 30-second notes. So if you just hit a bunch of big chords, your hand is stiff and playing that really clearly and in an inner voice and having the control, it doesn't happen on large keys. And so that's just a couple of examples of the more control that you can have when you play on large keys. How many of you have tried narrow keys at other conferences? Okay. Did you know that the absolute worst way to try narrow keys is at a conference? At other conferences, they have been on acoustic pianos. And I applaud David Steinbuehler and all the people behind him that brought him to the concerts. But you're walking down the aisle and you've got your piano playing friends and you say, narrow keys, this looks cool. Let's sit down. And you sit down and they can hear every single wrong note you play because this is an adjustment and it is embarrassing and you reel back in horror and you say, that was weird, no thank you. And I've heard that over and over again. So at this conference, it's different. We have headphones. You can play in the privacy. We don't hear any wrong notes. We just smile and go, oh, wonderful. And you can adjust. You can play for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, I don't care. But it does take a transition time. The first time. The second time, the transition. If you try them today and then sleep on it tonight and try them tomorrow, you will be amazed at how much you've already got this. And by the end of the week, you'll go, what was the big deal? So, another quick story. I like stories. I'm in a piano museum in Calgary, Alberta, with my husband, who's a wonderful jazz player. It's Wednesday morning, super quiet, and we get a private tour. And we're allowed to play any piano we want to play. And I got to play the piano that Paul McCartney played on Yellow Submarine. I got to play a Pleyel piano that was 150 years old. I played some Debussy. It was marvelous. And then we walked up to this piano, and it was an upright. And it had narrow keys. It was donated by the local piano store. And the guy looked at it, our guide, and he said, don't even try playing it. It's unplayable. Now, I had had narrow keys for 10 years by this time. And I went, oh, really? Oh. And my husband winks, he goes, hey, Linda, why don't you try the piano? Okay. Sat down. Wow, these are so narrow. Anybody that these keys are unplayable ever again. And when we left the piano museum, I could hear in the background, he was trying them. So we have a huge paradigm shift to deal with here. I get it. But it's important, and we're going to just keep coming at this until all the important people, starting with you guys, get it. So Athena, we've concentrated on the black keys. We've made them a little narrower in order to get, you want to play let's try to say the B flat chord. E flat major, you've got to get your fingers in there. So you'll find that it accommodates various widths of fingers. My husband, who I thought was going to be here, but he's at the booth, he plays Athena all the time. You can come by and hear him. He's a wonderful jazz player, very wide fingers. He plays in jazz bands, and he's got those, those synths with the short keys and 5.5-inch octaves. He's got that sitting on the top of the piano, and then he's playing the piano. So he's playing 5.5 and 6.5 at the same time. We are adaptable. Our brains are adaptable. A few technical specs. I said triple sensors, 3 sensors. Most digital pianos have 2 sensors. It's kind of an on or off, but we're used to grand pianos with double escapement actions and play rapid octaves. We have a triple sensor mechanism that handles all that. You'll be amazed. Graded hammer action. The keys at the bottom of the piano, just like on a grand piano, are slightly heavier than the keys at the top, and it's weighted. Headphone jacks, a 1/8 size and a 1/4-inch jack, which is really, really cool for those kids when they come in with the earbuds. The back of the piano has all the goodies you need. I've been talking to the various people that have the apps here, and we hook into the apps, we hook into the sound. You can do, with a little USB flash drive, you can make a beautiful recording and send it off to grandma. The MIDI in and out, line in and out. Right now, Athena is hooked into the sound system here. I do that when I'm performing as well. All the goodies. 750 voices. Why do we need 750 voices? Well, it's also a stage piano, and if I'm asking little Jessica to play, I hope nobody hears Jessica, to play, repeat that 5 times for me, please. I will hit piano, and then electric piano, and then accordion, and then strings. So she plays it 5 times in 5 different timbres. She hears it differently. So that's just one way I use it to teach classically. There are 280 different rhythms. Of course, it has a metronome, and you can set it up any which way you want. But if you're teaching Christopher Norton, or you're teaching Martha Meyer, jazz, rags, and blues, I find if I pick one of the jazz swing rhythms, or the samba rhythm, or the bossa rhythm, they get the groove of that piece a lot faster. So they're really fun, and I can demonstrate it if you're interested at the booth. 256 note polyphony. Why do we need to play 256 notes? If you're playing Debussy, and you want that wash of sound to create that impressionistic painting, you're going to need way more than just the 10 notes. You need it to hold. But where I really use, if you're dueling up, if pianos with one of the other instruments, or you're using the rhythms, for example, if I am accompanying somebody on a concerto, and they're playing, I don't know, Haydn D piano concerto, and I'm the orchestra, and I'm going along, well, that's exactly what my student's going to be playing. And I want them to have the concerto experience. So I say, I'm going to team up my piano with a bit of strings. And then they get this. And when they come in with their piano, it's just like a real concerto. It says something different and exciting. So we have 256 note polyphony, because I think piano studios need to have that flexibility. Let's talk about pedagogical benefits for piano teachers, especially those who have smaller hands. Who teaches students currently that have hands larger than their own? Okay, me too. He comes in with these big hands, he's doing his ARCT, and he says, let's do the Beethoven. He says, I'm having trouble in this passage, and of course it's the hardest passage of the Beethoven Sonata. And he says, can you show me how? Well, I can't begin to show him how on this piano. And I say, come over to my narrow keys. And I sit down and I demonstrate it exactly how it should be. And we talk about it, and he observes, and he goes, huh, and then he walks over to his piano, and he does it beautifully. I'm a demonstrator. Most piano teachers now are demonstrators. We can demonstrate to large hands correctly with large-handed fingering. Whether you're teaching a beginner or an advanced student, narrow keys make it easier for you to play all day long with no fatigue or discomfort. Plus, there might be just a couple of pieces in the advanced repertoire you've always wanted to play. Thinking Brahms Opus 118, opening Dirac 2, you know. So, this is your mission, should you choose to accept it. Buckminster Fuller said it beautifully. To fundamentally change something, we must build a system that renders the existing system obsolete. Athena is that system. She's portable, she's narrow keys, 80% of us should be playing her. I say her, she's become a her, I'm sorry, it. Piano playing needs to be more inclusive. One key size needs to be obsolete. We need to render that system obsolete. 50 years from now, they're going to say, did you know that there used to be only one key size for pianos? Isn't that weird? I guarantee it. I won't be here, but I guarantee it. Dr. Barbara Lister-Sink, well, she gave a beautiful talk this morning, but she had a YouTube video, and you all know who she is. I've got this little thing about her freeing the caged bird and all that, but I'm sure you all know who she is. I bought her DVD shortly after I got my narrow keys in 2002, maybe it was 2001, because I noticed when I went from big keys to narrow keys, while I could do things easier, I brought a lot of the bad habits over to my narrow keys. So with her DVD and my narrow keys, I freed my caged bird. And I never looked back. She says things straight and narrow, and I just want to play just a clip from this video.
Anybody with one iota of critical thinking skills can figure this one out. It's absolutely, the playing field is not level at all for small-handed pianists. In fact, Vladimir Ashkenazy, he had felt early onset arthritis in his hands, and it stopped his playing career. Magnificent pianist. And he attributes that largely to having played the big late 19th century, Rachmaninoff's Scriabin and recording all that with smaller hands. His hands are smaller than so are Daniel Barenboim's.
Did she say Daniel Barenboim? Playing on narrow keys.
So I think it's been unethical. I think it's been awful, and I don't know why it's taken so long.
I don't know why it's taken so long either. She had one more thing that we can all do with her, because she's got so many great ideas. So you can do this with her on tension. Just a couple more clips. There we go.
And you can have efficient muscle use. You can release your muscles. You can not accumulate tension. You can align yourself beautifully. You can sit well. But if your hand is too small, it's still going to be what we call an extension. Your extensor muscles here in the arms. Well, if you want to do that, those of you are here, if you want to just extend your fingers, abduct them, and put your hand right here on your arm, the top of your forearm, those are your extensors, it's going to begin to wear these out, so to speak, if a small-handed pianist has to stretch so much. And not only that, but when we bear load, as we call it, if we're actually putting a lot of force into the key, then there's a lot of load, a lot of force, a lot of load going through joints. And if these little joints, if they're little, and if they also are an extension, or what we call hyperextension, that's a setup. It's a setup for injury. It is wearing them out. It's sort of like walking around on locked knees all the time.
Last little two seconds on repertoire.
One friend of mine said several years ago, he said, why do you want to play all that great 19th century Liszt and Ravel and Gaspar and all that mess? Why don't you just
We would like to support teachers. We invite you to join a growing community of teachers who are opening doors for all hand sizes. We've created a free webpage for teachers who embrace teaching on Narrow Keys, narrowkeys.com/piano teachers. The number of Narrow Keys in homes and universities in the world in the next 2 months will triple, and they want teachers. We have our first container of Athenas arriving. We have had hundreds of pre-orders, and this is happening, and we want to support the teachers. You don't have to teach on an Athena. If you have Narrow Keys and teach piano, this page is for you. Please come and talk to us, and we will let you know how to get on. But first, I want to talk about younger students, especially those 10 and under. How many of you have students 10 and under? 100% of them are playing on the wrong size key. I just said it out loud. They've had no choice until now. Children learning on large keys, currently all children, will learn some bad habits. Things they have to do to negotiate those large keys, and the better the student, the faster they progress, and the more bad habits they accumulate. I was talking to a teacher about that this morning. She said, I'm trying to take this piece away from the student because I can see them creating the stuff that they need, bad habits. When children reach their teens and have a growth spurt, they often have to relearn their technique because of these bad habits. It's not because we're not teaching them correctly, it's because they're playing the wrong size keys. So the advantages for young learners is, I can put it all in one slide. They learn the right technique right out of the gate. They don't need to relearn their technique when their hand gets bigger. They can play the big works if their hands don't get bigger. I wanted to play the big works. I was told Linda stick with Bach. The same thing Barbara was told. You can play with more power and more confidence. And one other thing that is very cool about Narrow Keys, the sound. We're all used to seeing this. This is ridiculous. You wouldn't want to teach a child to play on a big violin, but little violins have little sounds. Big violins for the big sound. Not so with Narrow Keys. Narrow Keys, same sound. And we can have more power because we are on a level playing field. Here he is playing on Narrow Keys, nice relaxed octave. I asked him to play an octave. He's not having any fun. Do I have to? So, Narrow Keys, big sound. Big keys, big sound. It's not cheating. It's not a shortcut. Size matters. Another show of hands. How many of you have taught a child how to ride a bike? I just did that recently. And who would think of starting a child on your adult-sized bike? This happens to be my granddaughter. I said, give me your disgusted face. She did a pretty good job, I think. We expect small hands to adapt to full-size piano keys, and up till now, we've had no affordable choice. The equipment needs to match the learner. A bike that fits promotes safe, confident riding. A keyboard that fits promotes healthy, confident playing. When the equipment fits the child, they focus on learning, not just managing the basics. It's about giving every student what they need to succeed right from the start. Doesn't she look like she's having fun? This is just a summary. You can read it all there, which is great. This is an adult-sized hand, and this is a 5-year-old hand. You can see right there, just placing the hands relaxed on the keys, Narrow Keys, there's a lovely triad. Something that we just can't get students to do. Now, definitely they need the finger strength, they need all that as well, but they also need keys that fit their hands for fewer frustrations. And now I'm coming near the end. Let's talk about concerts. Well, first of all, Athena is portable. She weighs just under 28 pounds. And so, if your teacher doesn't have narrow keys, you can take them to lessons. I recently rehearsed the choir with my Athena, and you can take them to recitals. I recently attended, I have two grandsons, age 8 and 10. They live in Seattle, and we went down and we went to their year-end piano concert, and it was in a care home, and she had a big studio, and it was really fun, and the care home had a beautiful grand piano, and as I watched the kids marching up to the piano and playing, I realized 90% of her students should be playing on narrow keys. And she could have put this in her back car. This actually fits in the trunk of my car as well. It's from Keyhole Piano Shelf, and it's called their flat key design, relatively inexpensive. The side is just a piece of plastic. It's really cool. Everybody that comes to the booth wants to play this because they think this is the cooler, but it's just the same piano, it's just another shell. She could have taken all this to the care home, and 90% of the kids could have been comfy on the right size keys, and that 10% with the large hands, they're playing the big piano. Everybody would have been happy. But is a concert career possible? We get asked that all the time. You all recognize her. I just forgot. I had to do something just in case. Waiting for a call, you know. Well, ask Joseph Hoffman and Daniel Barenboim. They both had careers on narrow keys, but it wasn't inclusive. Hoffman's pianos, after he died, were burned. There was 3 of them. And only recently did Daniel Barenboim feel comfortable going with the fact that he had been performing on narrow keys for years. We are aiming for inclusivity. Ask Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran. He performs on 3/4 size guitars all the time. She composes on her 3/4. She needs that size to properly compose. And yeah, she plays piano too. As a matter of fact, I was thinking, if anybody knew Taylor Swift or Alicia Keys or Lady Gaga or Elton John, they're all small-handed piano players, what would they compose if they had keys that fit their hands? Just let them know. We'll send them one, no problem. But back to the question at hand, what if you wanted an acoustic classical concert career? Is that possible? What would the concert halls need? More space? More pianos? More money? No. Just 2 shelves. 2 shelves to hold the action for 1 grand piano. What does an action look like? Here is Dr. Carol Leone at the MTNA in 2012, loving her narrow keys. This is what would sit on the shelf. An action. This is all any concert hall in the world needs. Not another piano for $250,000. An action, which is cheap for a concert hall. And when they, I knew this call might happen. Just a minute. It's Carnegie Hall. Just a moment. Yes. Yeah. Hello. Yeah, it's Linda. Hi. Thanks for calling. No, I'm not doing anything. Yes. So about my concert hall debut next week. That's right. Yes. Well, I have my rehearsal, and I just want to let you know. Please put the 5.5 action in the piano. Yeah, that's the one, the top shelf. Yeah, and it only takes 3 minutes to take out the other action and plop it in. So the piano tuner will have lots of time, and then I'll be there at 2 o'clock. Yeah, perfect. Thanks so much. Bye. That's the phone call I want your senior students to have in 5 years. This is doable today. There is nothing standing in our way. I got to meet Dr. Leone, who is right here. We both got our key, we were one of the first keys from David Steinmuller, and I was down in Texas and I got to meet with her. She has since graduated many small-handed pianists on narrow keys at her university and advocated for competitions with narrow keys. She's on the board of the Stretto Festival, which showcases piano concerts on narrow keys. And in 4 short years, it has grown to 16 concerts last year with 6 live concerts in New York. This year's festival promises to be even bigger. Narrow keys can be in a concert. Who's making these retrofitted keys? Of course, it's David Steinbuehler. We all know and love him. Now, other manufacturers from Germany, in the United States, are making narrow keys for acoustic pianos. Concert halls can all be retrofitted with narrow keys, so any of us, so it's inclusive, we can have concert careers. Still have to practice. Chris Donaldson and I actually were university colleagues, and through a meeting with David Steinbuehler and Chris Donaldson, they kind of got talking about things, and then I came down about 6 months later, and a whole bunch of things happened, and that was kind of the start of this narrow key movement, which is just so cool. We have had a pilot program for Athena. Just a few comments. Susan DeBerg is a teacher, a long-time teacher and examiner, RCM examiner, teaches high-level students. She said, I've tried out quite a few pieces on my narrow keys, and yes, it's infinitely easier to play, especially, of course, pieces like Chopin Barcarolle and anything with octaves and big chords. When I asked, I was just lending it to her for 2 weeks, and when I asked Susan to please send them back, I got in the mail a blank check and the word no on a post-it note to it. I was really shocked. She just adapted to it right away. Felicia Ma, you're going to see a little bit more from her in a few minutes. Award-winning student, age 13, working on her grade 10 piano. What could narrow keys bring to her future? Well, I asked her, I said, Felicia, you've had the keys for about a week. What do you think? She said, my sister and I fight over who gets to play the narrow keys first every day. I wasn't expecting that. And Robert Estrin from Living Pianos, he's the largest online acoustic piano dealer in the United States. We sent him one. He has hundreds of YouTube videos on pianos and performance, and his review of Athena only a few weeks ago has become one of his most viewed YouTubes. Thousands and thousands of views and over 90% positive comments. So far the pilot program is doing well. I'm going to show you a short couple of minute commercial that we recently filmed, recently meaning last week. I just got this yesterday, and I'm going to debut it here with you.
The creation of narrow keys when you're in the music world seems such a basic idea when you compare it to things like sports, where there's different size equipment for different ages. All bodies are created differently, and as a pianist, our hands are the most important part. They allow us to create and communicate the music, and so having an instrument that fits our hands is really important.
I cannot play normal octaves on a traditional piano key because I was born with a tiny pinky, so I really needed to dig in through the repertoires to find something that I could play. It was really frustrating and disappointing because I really wanted to play everything the composer had written.
So when I was 14 years old, I actually developed tendonitis from over-practicing octaves, specifically in my left hand, that were too big for me to reach. As I watched my son practicing on the narrow key instrument, I'm really not only relieved, but also a little jealous that he's actually going to get to learn repertoire that I never got a chance to at that age.
When I first saw the Athena, I was a little skeptical because I personally do not like keyboards. Once I started playing Athena, it felt like great. I could reach everything I wanted to reach.
Can you reach an octave easily on a regular piano?
Barely, no, I can't play up to speed octave on a regular piano. So, like, if you heard my performance of the octaves, I cut most of the octaves out of it.
Right. but it was still wonderful.
Oh, thank you. When I go to places that tell me to perform and I see an unplayable piano or no piano, I'd be very frustrated. But with this Athena design, I can really just put it in my back trunk and then drive anywhere with this and play on it. I would heavily recommend Athena to anyone with smaller hands and small feet.
Coming to a YouTube channel near you. Do you think we kind of want to get to people's heartstrings and let them understand? Do you think it might work? Okay. Just a second here. No. So imagine, we're winding down here, imagine a generation of students learning piano more easily because it fits their hands. In the next few months, the number of narrow keys in homes and universities will triple because of Athena. Will you be one of the first success stories? We have an NCKP show special, 25% off. That saves you $625, bringing the cost to just over $1,800. Just talking briefly with this gentleman here, he said, when is it going to get down to like 4 figures? So we have broken through that $10,000 barrier. It is now affordable. Like I say, this is a performance level for studios, for gigs. Only available online at narrowkeys.com. And one lucky piano studio will win an Athena. It says on the sheet that we've been handing out, the draw was today, but it meant tomorrow. So we will be doing the draw. Please enter as many times as you like. And we have 2 other Athena models, so there's lots to try on in the draw. And 4:45, I made it before the 50 minutes. We have 4 minutes for any questions and answers. Ask me anything. I know a lot of you I've recognized. You've seen the Athena already? Yes?
I was wondering, you said that when you played it, it was hooked up to the speakers in the room. Could we hear it with the speakers that are included?
Certainly. If I unhook it, it's going to make a really loud noise, so I recommend maybe doing it back at the booth. They are tiny speakers. They would not fill a room like this by design, because for a speaker to fill a room like this, they have to be heavy. And portability, we had 2 things that were must when we were designing it. And that was portability, well, narrow keys first, and then portability. So the speakers are lovely, and I'd be happy to show you at the booth, but I don't want to do that to everybody's ears here. I would say we have a room at home that is 1,000 square feet, and it will fill a 1,000 square foot room. They're pretty good, but no. Any other questions? Yes?
For a teacher starting out, if I have a narrow key in my studio and the students are practicing on a regular size keyboard, do you see issues with that, or do they transition pretty well?
Kids transition way better than adults, but I do see issues. It really is better. At the very worst, they practice on narrow keys and come and play at your lesson in the big keys. But students really do need them at home. And I've been talking to some piano teachers, and they're saying, I'm not sure how comfy parents will be. And so they've started a rental pool. They're getting 5 of the Athenas, and they're going to rent them to parents and say, you don't have to buy, just test it out. If you like it, then you can buy it. If you don't, I'll rent it to another student next year. So that's one way around it. This is new, so it's a good question. Any other questions? All clear? Boy, I gave a good talk. Yes?
Are you going to incorporate Bluetooth for wireless?
We put a whole bunch of goodies in it, and I said no to Bluetooth, and Kathy agreed with me because there's a bit of a lag, and there's also, we just wanted to make sure they keep working for a long time, so we don't have Bluetooth at this time. It can hook into all the goodies, but it's hardwired. That lag just drives me crazy, but thanks. Yes?
I just wonder about the transition out of this.
question, and that's a great question. When I first got my narrow keys, I expected that I was gonna have struggled going back to the big keys, and I didn't. And first of all, I thought that was, well, okay, I had 40 years of playing on the big keys naturally. But that wasn't the reason why. Narrow keys have less real estate. They're narrower. You gotta hit them dead center. It forces you to be very accurate. It actually enhances your technique, and you take what you learn on narrow keys to the big keys, and you're actually a better player. There is zero transition. A funny story, how I learned about the transition. I got my narrow keys. I slept under my piano the first night. I played them for 6 months because at that time I was doing something else. I didn't have to perform anywhere. I could just do them exclusively. Get a phone call from the university. Linda, there's a flute player flying out from New York. We hear that you are comfortable with improvisation. We'd like you to accompany the flute player. Great. He came to my place. We hit it off. He said, yes, we're performing on Friday. Great. I walked on stage and I looked at the piano and I hadn't played large keys for 6 months. And I was horrified. I went, oh crap. And then I sat down and of course I look at the flute player, he goes his head, away we go. And the next thing I remember is people applauding. I don't remember any transition. I remember, and the other thing that really surprised me is I instantly dropped the tense that I was, because there's improvisation, I was playing tense with him, and my hand just went, you can't do this, Linda, voice it a different way, and it was all, and I am by no means a genius at this. This is, people have experienced this over and over again. Yes? We have to wrap up. I have one more slide. Try Athena, booth 305. Thank you so much for coming today, and good luck with the